there and the roads outside. We'll take this live picture from SkyTracker right now. The driving conditions are treacherous in parts of Wyandotte County and in Johnson County. This is I-70 Bonner Springs. This is a pileup accident involving dozens of cars, dozens and dozens of cars, and we understand there are multiple injuries here. Many ambulances and emergency crews are on the scene here. The highway has now been shut down by this. Captain Greg Borden is in SkyTracker. Greg, I've never seen anything like this. I doubt that you have either.
Mark, Tom and I were just talking about this. This is the biggest accident we've ever seen in this area. That shot when you opened up is eastbound Bonner Springs. A snow squall coming through this area within the last hour completely brought visibility down to nothing. These cars piling up at that location you just saw eastbound, and now Tom is panned up to the westbound side of this situation. This is going to be just I-70 near Bonner Springs, and you can see right there that that is the kind of a pileup that we see sometimes on the national news when there's lots of fog and stuff like that. This was just an amazing accident. Right now, we're not hearing of any serious injuries as a result of this, which is kind of amazing. We'll see if that makes the case. But as we get a little bit closer to this, once again, guys, I-70 closed at K-70 here in Bonner Springs, of course, in Wyandotte County. We get a little bit closer, Mark. You can see this just amazing. I'm going to guess a number of cars piled in here. We're guessing maybe in the neighborhood of about 30. There you go, Mark. Take a look at it.
It is unbelievable, Greg. Now, I just got into the newsroom probably within the last 20 minutes, and I can tell you the side streets were perfect. The streets were perfectly wet, but nothing worse. But I got on 435 on the south side of town and immediately got right off. It was a parking lot. It was whiteout conditions. The wind was blowing, and I think that had to be what went through this area here as well. As we look at westbound I-70 here, this is just one of two accident scenes on I-70 today that has the highway shut down. The snow system moved through. We've got more snow in the forecast, according to Gary Lezak and the NBC Action Weather folks. But what moved through here is you're looking here, emergency crews helping to treat some of the injured with entrapment here. When you have cars on top of one another like this, some people just can't. You can't get the doors out. You can't get the windows down. You have to get out. In this case, looks like they might be coming out of a sunroof. But folks, very treacherous conditions on our highways around the city right now, especially within the last few minutes as the snow system moved through. Whiteout conditions in some places. So if you don't have to be out on the highways at this point, you really don't want to leave your home if you don't have to, because I-70 is shut down. Now, we're going to break away from this picture. Greg, stay with us, but we're going to also show you a picture from one of our scout cams at I-35 in Johnson County. 35 is also closed down at 87th Street. And this is another accident here. Again, another pileup accident. This one is between northbound 87th Street and 69 Highway. This involves, again, 20 to 30 vehicles, and we understand, again, in this case, there are some injuries. We don't know how serious those injuries are, but many ambulances, emergency crews are on the scene, and those northbound lanes are shut down. But let's go back to SkyTracker now, looking at these two accidents that we have on I-70. We'll flip back over to SkyTracker, and you can take a look at those. Look at this shot here. Cars on top of cars. Again, we understand injuries are involved. We just don't know how severe. You see some people out of their cars. That is a really good sign. But again, how they got out, we don't know. Very, very serious situation here. So again, folks, the roads are very treacherous, especially within the last few minutes as the snow system has moved through. We've seen snowflakes falling all day long. And then there was this big burst of snow right about between 2 and 2:30, and that has caused this crash here. This is just the very serious situation on westbound I-70 near Bonner Springs. This one most likely has entrapment here with this car, where you see the emergency paramedics on top of those cars trying to reach through a sunroof there to help free somebody. But again, the cars just slid in all directions. The folks that were up against the wall had nowhere to go. They're up against the wall, cars into them, more cars. We looked at another one a few minutes ago further down I-70, and in that situation, there were several 18-wheelers that pinned 5 to 6 cars at a time up against the wall. Very serious here. We're watching here as emergency medical technicians here, they've got their brace board there to get ready to help move somebody out of this vehicle here. But again, a very serious situation there. There you see somebody. They've got one person up on top of the car, and from there they're going to strap that person onto the board there, the gurney, which will then that person, fortunately the person doesn't look to be injured too severely, but they're going to be very careful in this situation because looking at this situation, you just don't know what they're going to be dealing with. But again, folks, a very serious situation on our highways this afternoon. This is one of two very major accidents on I-70 that has shut down westbound I-70. As you can see, a Skytracker pulls out here just dozens upon dozens of cars. Say that again, Greg, I'm sorry?
Also eastbound I-70.
Okay.
The first accident we showed when we started our cut-in, that was eastbound, and so both east and westbound will be closed for some time here in Wyandotte County.
Now this one is, what street, do you know, Greg, what street that is over? That is I-70 in...
Yeah, that's I-70 at 134th Street, so that's going to be just not far west of K7, and of course that's just west of the Kansas Speedway. Okay,
okay. And in the other accident, if we can leave this one and have Tom pull back out a little bit to the other place, how far back is that other accident, Greg, that's in the eastbound lanes?
Yeah, and I'm not sure of the cross street there. I'm going to say it's about 2 miles west of our location, so not far away. And of course, a result of that same snow squall that came through, Mark, and brought the visibilities down to basically zero. And as Tom pans out, you can see there's actually a fairly steep embankment right there. A couple of cars went over that embankment. This accident here, not involving quite as many vehicles, but of course it is closed. The backup from that goes all the way back to I think probably the interchange at the turnpike. There's not a lot of interchanges between here and Lawrence, but as we get a little bit closer, Mark, you can see a similar situation. Cars kind of piled up here, not quite as extreme as we saw at 134th Street, but medical units and rescue units, fire coming in this location. Certainly there's got to be some people injured. Doesn't seem like anyone's severely injured, but you can see quite a bit of activity over here.
Okay, Greg, keep staying with us here. Folks, if you're just joining us right now, we're cutting away from the Olympics for just a moment to update you on some very, very serious breaking news going on in Kansas City this afternoon. If you're looking outside, depending on where you are, the sun is actually shining in parts of the city, and the roads are damp and clear. The snow that's falling is immediately just evaporating into the pavement, but about between 2 and 2:30, just less than an hour ago, a snow squall moved through the area. It came through with very heavy snowfall combined with some very strong winds that made near whiteout conditions on several of the highways around the area. As I was saying, about just around 2 o'clock, I was on 435 right at Row, and the side streets were perfect. You got on the highway, you couldn't see a thing. I immediately got right off at State Line just to avoid cars were into the walls, cars were into each other. This is the situation on westbound, both sides of I-70 actually we're looking at are shut down in Bonner Springs, not far from the Kansas Speedway here. And there's another situation that we're also following in Johnson County. I-35 northbound at 87th Street, that's closed between 87th Street and 69 Highway because of another 20 to 30 car pileup there. So 3 separate pileups. As Greg, you were saying earlier, these are the things we see in the Northeast when they've got, you know, a foot of snow and whiteout conditions, or maybe out in Colorado. You don't normally see these in Kansas City, Greg.
No, you really don't, Mark. I mean, there's times I've heard about it in places where there's, real dense river fog and people drive, normal speeds into where that fog is. And I think a similar situation here, Mark, where this squall was fairly concentrated. People just cruising down the highway at fairly normal speeds and almost hit a wall when they came into that snow squall. And of course, that squall has moved through the metro. I think maybe even passed out on the southeast side of it. I was talking to George in the Weather Center earlier, and it had moved out to the southeast. But for these motorists along I-70, I'm sure this was just a shock to them. And of course, once there was the initial accident or somebody going off the road, the cars behind it not able to see them, and the cars just piling up as they go into that reduced visibility. Mark?
A very serious situation, Greg. If you are going out, if you do have to leave your home, you really want to avoid the highways. Don't go anywhere near I-70, I-35, or 435 on the south side of town right now, because those are the highways that are shut down. Or 435 is not, but there were some accidents there. 35 in Johnson County between 87th Street and 69 is shut down. Now we're going to continue to cover this breaking news. Did we want to? We had a phoner. Did we want to go to the person on the phone, or are we going to go? We're going to go back to the Olympics at this part. So we will continue to follow this information for you. Please be careful if you do have to go out.